Salutations, fellow Americans and people from other nations who are into American culture. Welcome to the channel. MrLiveOcean here, and today we're going to talk about the day of today, which is Columbus Day, or which probably should be better known as Indigenous Peoples Day. Why? Because, well, Columbus was a bad dude. People like to think that he came this way because of trade routes. They wanted to find a way to get to India for spices and whatnot. Really, he was for gold. That was the main reason, to come over here and found gold. For whatever reason, they thought there's going to be gold along the way to India. So he tortured, brutalized the people of the Caribbeans. At the time, they were called Lucayan. And he went as far as bashing little babies' heads against rocks and chopping off people's arms if they didn't bring, I believe he wanted their own weight in gold, powder, gold, whatever. It was a tall order. Sure, they had gold when Columbus first showed up, but they didn't have that much. They didn't value gold the same way Europeans did. So anyway, brutal guy. Still, at the time when the Columbus Day was created, people really didn't know about it. And that is where this video is really starting. Because Columbus Day did not become a day until 400 years after the day that Columbus sailed the ocean blue, 1492. I believe the saying was supposed to be 1492 is when Columbus sailed the ocean blue. A nice way to whitewash it, so to speak. But 400 years after the events, tragedy. There was another tragedy. Actually, to be more specific, 399 years. Because in 1891, there was a case where 6 Italian immigrants charged with murder of the local police chief. This is March of 1891, by the way. The rumors had spread that jurors had been bribed by powerful Italian families coming to be known as the Mafia. So people thought that these 6 Italian Americans got off scot-free, and a mob ended up lynching them. So a mob descended on the Orleans Parish Prison, where the 6 Italian defendants were held, including 13 other Italian suspects. 11 people were killed. One of them was shot 42 times. So people were pretty pissed. That's an understatement. Well, the Italian government was very upset about that, and even though the American government tried to basically pay them off, try to give money to the families of the afflicted, Italians weren't happy because those people who did the killings weren't brought to justice. So, the next year, to help celebrate the 400 years after Columbus had landed in America, they decided to try to come up with a holiday. And that person who actually came up with the idea for the holiday is Francis Bellamy, who is also a Christian socialist minister. Originally Baptist, but anyway. So, not only did this guy come up with the idea for Columbus Day, but he also came up with the idea for the Pledge of Allegiance. That's right. The Pledge of Allegiance was created by a socialist. Not many people probably realize that. This was something that was published in a magazine, The Youth's Companion, which was all about trying to boost patriotism within America. So not only did they come up with Columbus Day at that time, but the Pledge of Allegiance. And the thing about the Pledge of Allegiance, which is something I've been wanting to get to for a while, is that not many people know about the history of the Pledge of Allegiance. Not only was it created in conjunction with Columbus Day, but it was created in such a way that people today probably wouldn't quite recognize it. They'd be like, there's something missing. As it was originally written in the Youth's Companion on September 8th, 1892, I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, which is the core of the pledge. Is also missing at least 2 things. 1923, the words, the flag of the United States of America, were added. So it then read, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There's still something missing, right? And maybe those who are really young don't know, especially if you're not from the South. When I was growing up, it didn't matter if I was in the South or not. Pretty much everybody up till 6th or 7th grade would have had to recite this in the morning before class. But then, in 1954, in response to the Red Scare, otherwise known as the pushback against communism, President Eisenhower encouraged Congress to add the words under God, finally creating the 31-word pledge we say today. And side note, Bellamy's own daughter objected to the alteration. Then it says, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. But that's not the end of it. The thing about Pledge of Allegiance is that you didn't start with your hand over the chest like we do now. It was actually a, formal military salute. At first, because when you say to the flag, you're supposed to extend your arm out. You're just starting to look kind of bad. I know, but the difference is the hand goes upward. So it's not quite a Nazi salute, pretty darn close. And of course, this was many years before Nazis were a thing. So at the time, it was no big deal. But then, of course, after the Nazis came to power, then they, switched to that. So that's about it. Other than, the fight to keep it within schools and whatnot. That's not what this video is about. I just wanted to point out that not only was Under God a recent addition to the Pledge of Allegiance, but there was also a very, very controversial salute that was part of it. But anyway, I hope you learned something today. I know I did when I was researching this, because there was more to it than I even realized. Well, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you get around to hitting that like button, maybe even hitting the subscribe button if you feel so daring. Until we meet again,